You know, musical genres are a funny thing, and the older I get, the less important, the less significant they seem to be. You know, how do we define something, and how does something not fit into one area but does fit into another? The whole blurring of lines. It all feels like a nonsense, and I've been thinking about this particularly recently because essentially for this video that I'm doing now and for maybe the next couple of videos that I have planned for this channel, it's a relevant thing because I find myself at the stage of actually looking stuff up and saying, what is this supposed to be? What are they calling this now? As years go by, everything changes. What is considered to be, I don't know, alternative music, acoustic music, you name it, will be something else in a couple of years' time, and then a couple of years after that it'll be something else again. Anyway, that's kind of waffling off the point, but I'm just thought I'd get that out there because I do think that the whole thing about musical genres and how we still use these things to define music in a way that feels increasingly unnecessary is pointless. But that being said, I'm here to talk about an artist now who I think we could fit into the Americana format, even though she's not an American. We could call it country music, though it's not really country music. We could call it alternative. We could call it rock music. It's kind of flits between all those things. I'm talking about Kathleen Edwards, and she's somebody who I've been a big fan of for quite a long time, since I discovered her music. I think actually through somebody literally just giving me a copy of her album back to me. When I say a copy of the album, I mean literally just like the tracks as MP3s, together with a whole bunch of other MP3s in one of those music trade-off things, and that's the benefit of piracy. It introduces you to new artists that you might not have discovered otherwise, particularly before all that stuff was widely available on YouTube. Anyway, again, you know, I really liked that album. I discovered her subsequent album, Asking for Flowers, on Spotify and played that to death until the point that I actually bought the damn thing. So I've got like 3 of her albums on CD. For some reason I don't have Back to Me. I have no idea why. This is ridiculous and I have to rectify that. I genuinely thought I had a copy, so if I do have a copy, it's just wandered off somewhere. But you know, I've got her early album Failure, which is good. I have the last album she released in her original musical phase, Voyager, which is good, but it's not great. I'll come back to that in a moment. And Asking for Flowers, which I think is one of the greatest albums that I've ever heard in my life. It's fantastic, pretty much flawless. I think it's a magnificent record. Anyway, after she'd recorded Voyager, which was in, what year was this? 2012. It's a perfectly good album. It's disappointing, perhaps, in the light of what had come before, because I also think Back to Me is a fantastic, brilliant piece of work. So this didn't seem to quite live up to those. At that point, she then took 10 years off music to run a coffee shop in Canada. It's not that strange, you know, Canada is where she's from. However, she came back a few years ago with an album that I don't have yet. But then this year, she's released a new album, and finally, I have this on vinyl, as I probably should have with at least my favourites of those. I'll get round to that eventually, if they're available and affordable. Anyway, Billionaire, which came out a few months ago. It sounds like quite a boastful title. It's obviously not. I think you can get the idea that there's a certain degree of irony here, but nice package, nice gatefold cover. I do like a gatefold cover, have to say. Prog habits die hard, eh? And although you can see here that the inner sleeve is torn slightly, you see it's on a nice green vinyl with, I don't know what you call it, smoky bits in. As with all these things, the coloured vinyl is a bonus, but as I've discussed before, I do like a nice coloured vinyl. Black vinyl just always feels disappointing these days. I don't know why that is. This album is fantastic. I think it's a real, I say return to form. Like I said, I've not heard its predecessor, so that may well also be a fantastic album. Perhaps as and when I pick that up, I'll come and do another piece, maybe do some kind of proper career retrospective rather than just flicking over these ones here. Anyway, this, I'm gonna say I'm not a fan of the cover. I'm generally not a fan of artists being photographed on the covers. At least if you're gonna do that, have it some kind of arty shot. I'm not sure what that is. It feels a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit bland. Not to my particular taste, I suppose. But the package it's gorgeous, and the album, I'm sure you more interested in hearing what the album's like. The album is great, as I said. It's got some fantastic songs, and this is where that whole genre thing gets confusing, because I don't know what you would call this. I don't know where you would draw the line. Some of this is clearly rock music. Some of this is kind of gentle acoustic music. Does that make it country? Not really. Does it make it folk? Not really. Maybe I'll kind of come on to folk pop, I think, in a video that I've got planned to do later this week. So I don't know what it is. It's not acoustic necessarily, because there's a lot of electric guitars, guitar solos. There's a lot of solid classic rock stuff. Classic rock in the old band way, but you know, the classical style of rock music. But my cat is clearly in agreement here. Okay, Yuki, you're going to come and sit down. You're going to be a good girl. Come on. Don't bite me. That's terrible. All people at home think they see you biting me. They'll think you're a bad cat. Anyway, I'm very sorry. I've just had to deal with my badly behaved cat, who decided that it was time to come up on the table and bite me. So, well, and here she is again. So effectively, I think the genre is terrible. Even the whole idea of saying, oh, somebody's a singer-songwriter. Well, great, you know, lots of people are singer-songwriters. Doesn't really tell you what kind of music they make generally. And if we want to try and define singer-songwriter as a specific kind of music, I think that's stupid. But anyway, this is a really, really good album, and I'm really glad to see that she is back, that she's on top form. Long may that continue. So if you're interested in picking this up, I will put buying links in the description. As ever, there are other shops you can choose from if you wish to purchase from, but if you buy via the link in the description, it helps out this channel a little bit. But yeah, heartily recommended. And if you are unfamiliar with Kathleen Edwards, clearly I'm going to work on the assumption that I can't really play you a clip of anything here. I would suggest just check her out. I'm sure there's lots of stuff on YouTube, on Bandcamp. So I'll be back in a few days. I know I keep saying a few days and then a week or more goes by, but I will try and be back in a few days, provided that I'm not bitten to death by this creature here. Possibly with another pair of albums from artists that I wouldn't quite be sure how to define, other than just they make music. Or possibly with a collection of black metal, which is very different to this kind of thing, but also maybe not the black metal that you would expect. So get ready for that one. If you've enjoyed this, it's been a bit rambly, but I have been very distracted by this creature, then by all means subscribe to Desperate Living Music if you haven't done so already. Drop this video a like. Everything helps build this channel up and encourage me to keep going on it. In any case, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.